The hero's journey is one of the most familiar story structures in modern culture. We see it in films, in novels, and storytelling everywhere. But long before it became a framework for writing, it was something much older. Mythologist Joseph Campbell described the hero's journey as a universal pattern found in myths across culture, a movement from separation through challenge and transformation, and eventually into return. In this episode, we're stepping away from the idea of the hero as someone who conquers the outside world, and instead we're looking at the inner journey that shapes the archetypal mature masculine, the willingness to answer a call, to face what has been avoided, descend into uncertainty, and return with something that serves more than just the self. Charmaine and I explore the resistance many of us feel when life asks us to grow, the role of myth as guide, and the importance of relationship with community, with nature, and with the parts of ourselves we've learned to avoid. Hero's journey, it's not just a story structure. It's a pattern that shows up whenever a person chooses growth over comfort and responsibility over avoidance. Thanks for joining us here in the Fertile Dark for this episode on the hero's journey. So, let's talk hero's journey.
Hero's journey.
Interesting topic.
Yes.
Much discussed.
Yes.
Often misunderstood.
Okay, yeah.
And feels particularly relevant.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm curious.
Well, okay, so I asked my daughter, because, they know I come and I do this. And so I was like, oh, we're talking this week, the hero's journey. And she's like, oh, the literary archetype. I'm like, it is a literary archetype. Like, good job. Yes, I'm impressed you know that. But it's also a psychological archetype. Mm-hmm. It's a, journey from immaturity to maturity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that we do, like, even if we were to just look it up, some people do look at it as a writing model.
Right.
Because it is grounded in myth.
Yes.
But I love the way that Michael Meade talks about the purpose of myth.
Yes.
Which is not how to write a bestseller.
Right.
But that myth as a story is the storehouse of knowledge that has been lost to time, but that is essential for us to navigate current problems that we don't know how to handle.
Brilliant. So in studying religion, mythology is one of the big markers of religion. Is there a unique mythology to this set of, system and beliefs? But what I find so interesting in the study of religion is that mythology is often repeated. And this is the archetype, right? The human experience that is seemingly universal.
Yeah, which I feel like is really where Joseph Campbell was coming from.
Right.
When he identified this monomyth, the similarities across culture, across religion, across myth.
Yep, that we see over and over and over again. And that's what creates the archetype. The archetype is that human experience.
Right. And so when we look at hero's journey, this is the way that is existing in the collective unconscious for us to move towards wholeness.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the hero's journey, at the very most simplistic, he broke it down to three parts in the hero's journey. I mean, he further broke it down, but the three major parts: separation, initiation, return.
And if I understand it right, when Campbell was doing this, he was really influenced by Arnold van Gennep, Rites of Initiation.
Mm-hmm.
So the hero's journey has this initiatory quality of being initiated into a place of wholeness or fullness or more embodied self.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm dying to know is your personal experience with the hero's journey. Why is it important to you? When you're making the list of all the things you wanted to talk about in the podcast, what was it about the hero's journey that was that's why I want to talk about that?
Well, one, it feels very relevant, both collectively, but then also personally.
Yeah.
So collectively, what I see is that we are in a place where we are being invited to engage with this mythic journey in a different way. from that perspective, one way that we see the hero's journey taking place is that when you have a king who has lost his capacity to hold the archetypal energy of the king, which is very generative and embodies the sacred marriage between the masculine and the feminine.
Yes.
And instead, like, slides into the polarity of the weakling king and the tyrant.
Yes.
There is a need then collectively to figure out what is it that needs to be changed. Because the king embodies the center of gravity for a culture.
Yeah.
And so if the king is in a place of oscillating between the shadow poles of the weakling and the tyrant,
Yeah.
he's communicating to us there is a need for change,
Yeah.
which then requires a collective engagement with this initiatory process.
Yes. Okay. I love so much that you started at the king, because oftentimes when we talk about this hero's journey, we start at the beginning, which is the separation. But what prompts that separation, which is that failing of the king figure. So I love that that's where you're starting, because I do think that's so important here today. Now, what we're experiencing is that this idealized king archetype, you're right, is that embodiment of masculine and feminine. It's the embodiment of generosity, of sharing the wealth of the journey that the hero had gone on with the people. And that when that fails, when that's not happening, we need a new hero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And often what we see is that the king is actually an expression of the wounding of the people.
Yes. Ooh, that gave me goosebumps. Okay, yes, go on.
And so often what we see is that we collectively will invest our own projection into this person in that position.
Right.
And so when we now step into a place where we are we're experiencing dissonance, when something about our daily life no longer feels acceptable, when maybe it did a couple years ago or a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, but all of a sudden it's intolerable. Now we are being asked to change what's in ourselves.
Yes.
So that then we shift the center of gravity of the people so that the king can be restored in a new embodied way.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so here for it. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Well, we already started at the end, but let's go back to the beginning where the call happens, right? Before the separation occurs, the call happens. We see the injustice. We see something, or somebody comes to us to tell us, like, now's time to start the journey. What I really liked was that Joseph Campbell acknowledged that there's often a resistance to the call. I don't know if you've seen that resistance in your life, but I certainly know I have.
Sure. Well, I think about when I started my bachelor's program, I had this experience where I felt like I needed to leave the military and go to school. And my second year of my bachelor's degree, it got really hard and I started to run into a lot of issues and I felt like something needed to shift. And so I ran away. I dropped out of school and went back to the Army.
Wow. Okay. That's so real. Oh, yes.
Because it was like I was fine for the first year. It was hard,
Yeah.
but it was manageable. Yeah. But then all of a sudden it became intolerable. Like the mundane world was it was like I was wearing the wrong skin.
Yeah.
Everything was wrong. I couldn't do anything well. Like nothing felt good. Like I felt like I was always in this state of being discouraged and overwhelmed and like something needs to change. Something needs to change.
Yeah.
And instead of figuring out what needed to change, I ran away.
You know what? The devil you know, right, is preferable oftentimes to the devil you don't know, right? You're used to this pain. You're used to this discomfort. I know how to navigate it. Like, it's not the worst and it's not the best, but at least I know what I'm doing in this place.
Right.
Yeah.
But the rejection of the call is real.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, that's definitely a thing Joseph Campbell talks about and makes a point to say when we reject it. In fact, one of the things he talks about, I think he calls them ogres. The like, what happens when we reject the call is that the ogres come in, which I've always described them, at least if I'm understanding Joseph Campbell correctly, is as the demons, which we've talked about. Those unfelt feelings, the unthought thoughts, the unmet needs, right? That if we ignore them, they get louder and louder and louder until we can't ignore them anymore. But those are the ogres that come in and drag us kicking and screaming into the journey.
Right. Which is it's often so difficult, I find, to really face those.
Yeah.
I feel like particularly in the way that we see it in Western culture, like I see this all the time. People come in, they're having an existential crisis, and they just say, I need to fix it.
Yep.
And it's not a thing that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where it's the crisis is actually the call.
Right.
And to try and fix the crisis is to say, I don't want the call. I want it to go away.
Right. Yeah.
And then it persists and continues to eat them up until they realize that the wound is actually the passage into the journey forward.
Yep. It's so good. And it's so true too. In fact, one of the things that Joseph Campbell had said was that like the work of, he was specifically talking about religion in this instance, but the work of the religion is not to eliminate the cause of distress, right? That's not ideally what we want to do. What we want to do is understand and transform ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hard, so difficult, so exhausting.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel these ways.
No. Just I just want to coast. Like, just let me coast, please.
Stop speaking to me inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, wounding. Stop telling me you're there.
Yeah.
Just go away.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, they don't. They become the ogres, the demons that drag us into the journey.
Yeah. Which is so hard.
Okay. So the separation from what we know into something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a lot of parallels as I was like reading about the hero's journey between identity development models, which are, developed by more modern psychologists and, behaviorists, whatever else. But it's often the stages of immersion into like dominant culture, let's say, and really a buy-in into that, a belief in it, a buy into it, and a mask that we wear to fit in it, which I think is so important to recognize that it's a mask that we wear. And so that mask works for a lot of people. Like, I don't want to discount that these systems aren't set up for a reason. They are. But oftentimes the mask doesn't work, right? And if it's not working for one, I would argue that it's not working for any.
True. I'm curious how you see that.
It's the idea of disability. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this before, the medical model of disability versus a social model of disability. That a medical model of disability is that if there's something wrong with you, we can fix it. We can fix you. Whereas a social model of disability is if the system isn't working for you, it will look like something is wrong with you. So we need to fix the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the hero's call.
To fix the system.
To fix the system.
Right.
Which happens eventually at the end of the journey.
Which is interesting because by fixing the inner system, it empowers us to fix the outer system.
Right. Well, and at the end, that's really it. That fixing of that inner system, the king, the righteous, king who's performing the kingly duties in a way that is idealized, is the one who shares that inner system. Right.
Right. And is the one who is in right relationship with the people and the place.
Right.
And becomes the conduit for transcendent empowerment.
Right. So the first stage of an identity development model is a recognition of the system. Mm-hmm. Okay. That we are all a part of the system. The second stage, or oftentimes it's like the end of the first stage, is that dissonance with the system. which is just sometimes a ping, right? Just a, this isn't working. Why isn't this working? Why do I feel this way? It seems to work for everybody else around me. What's wrong with me?
Right.
Yeah, that's a hard place to be.
It is. And it's so interesting that we all experience that in some way.
Yeah.
But we also look to the people around us and say, why is it working for them, but not for me?
Exactly.
When, like you said, if it's not working for me, chances are it's not working for them either.
Right. Exactly. But we don't always see that because I mean, a lot of times we just don't talk about it, or we're told not to talk about it, or, you know, whatever else.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because we wear the mask to be socially acceptable.
Yes. To find safety and security in that.
Right.
Yes.
We're trying to say, like, I am protecting myself from rejection.
Yes.
I'm protecting myself from being hurt by another person.
Right.
And also in this moment, we are being called to actually allow ourselves to give ourselves space.
Right.
To belong more to ourselves.
Yes. Okay. So we have the acknowledgement of the system, and then we have the dissonance with the system. And at that point, Fritz Perls calls it the impasse, which is the precipice, which is the call, which is the leaving of the known and going into the unknown. The scary part.
It is scary.
Yeah.
Which, at least in the hero's journey, like as we experience this thing, I think about even we're going from the oneness where we are one with the system to now the two-ness where we are acknowledging that we are differentiating.
Right.
And allowing ourselves now to leave on the quest and then to begin the descent. Yes.
It's also very interesting in the Joseph Campbell's, you know, recognition of the journey is that there is often a like a sage, a wise person, you know, somebody who's going to offer a little bit of magic and wisdom on the journey. I do appreciate that. I appreciate that little nod toward community. Like the hero's journey, we often think of it as a solitary one, which I think for the most part it is, but it's not done in a vacuum.
Right. And if I am remembering my stories correctly, one version of this guide is the mentor, which is a word we derive from the non-familial other that is given to a person to assist them.
Okay, so I think this is so important that it's non-familial, okay, which I think is it's a metaphor for the system, right? That often it's somebody outside of the system who is going to help us on the journey.
Right.
Right.
And it can't be the parents.
Right.
The parents, they fill a different role.
Yes.
But are unable to provide the guidance necessary to the journeyer to be able to move forward. They need someone who has already walked the path. They need someone who is outside of their system who can help them see what is necessary.
Yes.
They need the initiated adult.
Yes.
The initiated elder.
Yes.
To guide them in the way.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Which sometimes it's hard to find that, I feel like.
It is hard.
Like sometimes you're buried so far into the system that like outside of the system is not nearby. It's not close by. It's something that we have to take a bit of a journey to find.
It is. And sometimes it's really hard even to find others that we can connect to that are able and willing to help us on the journey.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing that like I often do with clients, the idea of the wise self for one, but sometimes, you know, that's not accessible. And so we create an image of the wise one to help. And when talking to clients, sometimes they're like, I don't have anyone in my life that I would consider that. So then we go to, all right, have you ever read a book, watched a movie, listened to a song that you felt inspired by? Can we create something from that? And sometimes it's a religious figure. Sometimes it's a literary figure. Sometimes it's purely made up. But it doesn't have to be a physical, actual, real person that does this.
which is true. Right. Because I think often clients look to us as a form of this person.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
which many therapists are able to do.
Yes.
And also therapists are human too.
Right.
Just like as a teacher, similar place.
Yep.
Teachers are human too.
Yep.
Not everyone that you meet that is in these types of positions is ready to guide a person in the way they need to be guided.
Yes. Yes. Great acknowledgement, because it's absolutely true. Yeah. It's a rough place to be for other people to look to you as the wise one who's going to lead them on this journey.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember even in the military, there were times that I felt that there weren't people that I could talk to.
Yeah.
Or the people that I felt like I did look to actually weren't a person that I should have.
Oh, yeah.
And I really felt the lack of this mentor, guide, sage person.
Yep.
I ended up really putting myself in difficult positions over and over and over again until I could find someone to help me figure out what was really going on.
Yeah.
And this was like peers. This was like my like leadership. This was even like a handful of different therapists. Like,
yeah.
It was really difficult in the search for the guide, the sage, the wise one.
Yeah.
And until I really got there and started to find people who could do that,
Yeah.
it was really hard. And for me, myth really did become the stand-in. But it was really like a stand-in. That was like one piece of it. I needed that plus the person. And the myth helped me get my feet underneath of me and move forward enough until I was led to the right person.
Yeah. I relate to that so hard. I feel like I experienced that a lot as a teenager, where I kept looking towards or looking for this outside, non-familial guide, mentor, something, which, I feel like I found here and there, but inevitably I would always be disappointed, right? Which is so hard to find that balance and to understand the like humanness of people, right? And then to be able to move from that, like, okay, this person is human. That's okay. I still learned, I still growed, I still, learned something from them, received something from them, and then transferring that into community, right? That I find my wise guru, my magical mystic leader often in my peers, which is, I think, really beautiful. But it took a long time to figure that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes we don't look to our peers.
Yeah.
Right? Or even sometimes as adults, we find that maybe we don't have as many peers that we are connected to.
For sure. I think, though, that I'd like to say it's a sign of maturity to move from this like idealized mentor leader into this, like, these are my peers, and I can still find ways to be inspired and led by my peers and offer that to them also, right? That like moving from this being disappointed that people aren't perfect into the like, no, it's actually really beautiful that people aren't perfect.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the call and the precipice. What I kept like asking over and over as I was reading all of this is, are we brave enough for change?
That is the question.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It is. Why, in part because like one of the aspects of the hero's journey is a type of disillusion, a type of death that occurs.
Yes.
Where the way that we conceive of our identity is going to drastically shift.
Yes.
And that is terrifying.
Yes. And that's are we brave enough for change, but also are we brave enough to be wrong about what we used to think, about who we used to see ourselves as, or even of the system, right? Because we start so integrated into the system, so bought into it, so in like belief of it, are we brave enough to be wrong about that system? Are we brave enough to see the king without his clothes, right? The emperor's new clothes, whatever. Are we like brave enough to be wrong and to step outside of the system?
Which that is a hard thing to do.
It's terrifying.
And I see so many people who struggle with this.
Yeah.
Particularly as people start to like move forward and challenge the way they see themselves, the way they see the world around them.
Yeah.
And they come back and share this with parents or their family members.
Yeah.
They run into this challenge in others.
Yeah.
Which can be so devastating and make it actually very challenging in ourselves.
Yep.
To then be willing to move forward, because we can feel like it's going to be a really hard, lonely road.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is so relevant right now, right, to what we're experiencing as a country.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like some people holding so strongly in the face of overwhelming evidence to these ideals, to these leaders, to whatever else, because it is so scary to be wrong. It is so scary to change and to say, wow, like, okay, I was wrong about that. I need to shift. I need to move towards something different. That's terrifying. But we are seeing this like wild holding on to of just ridiculousness.
I agree.
Yeah.
It really makes me think of how I experience heights.
Okay. Say more.
So I am quite afraid of heights.
Okay.
Which I think I hold a little bit of ironic humor in my heart.
Yeah.
Since I studied rock climbing and also started used to jump out of airplanes.
Yeah.
But for me, the challenge is not being high. Like the challenge isn't actually the height.
Yeah.
It's the edge. It's the ledge.
Yeah.
It's the going over the edge.
Yeah.
And being terrified that all of my equipment will fail and I will
Yes.
plummet to my death.
Okay. You know what? This is so ironic because my kid, my 17-year-old, just asked me to watch Vertigo with him last night, which is this 1957, 6, 8, something like that, Alfred Hitchcock film, right? About a guy who is afraid of heights. And it's this journey of his to the end where he stands at that precipice, looking over the edge, no longer afraid of and no longer hindered by his fear of heights. And my kid was like going off on how inspiring this was and how like he was just so overwhelmed with this journey of Jimmy Stewart plays the detective or whoever he is, and how he just was so inspired by this journey to overcome this fear of heights. So I love that you brought that up because it's just so synchronistic with my life right now.
Yeah. I remember this experience of the Army school is called Air Assault School. Basically, you learn how to work with helicopters to include rappelling out of them. And before you can get in the helicopter, you have to go on the rappel tower.
Yeah.
And you do like a closed face rappel tower where you have a wall and you walk down the wall.
Okay.
And you have an open face rappel where you have a ledge and then empty space.
Ooh.
And you have a belayer at the bottom to like pull on the rope and break your fall if you start falling.
Right. Give you some tension there on that rope.
Right.
Yeah.
And before I went up to do my open face rappel, I watched a belayer have a repeller like lose control and start falling, and the belayer moved out of the way and the repeller like smashed into the ground.
Oh.
So I watched this happen.
Yeah.
And then I go up to the top of the tower.
Okay, that's terrifying. Thanks. Yeah.
And the process you go through is you hook in your rope to all of your like your belay system, like your rappel system. And you have a safety there who checks off because you can hook in incorrectly and just zip line to the bottom.
Okay. Yeah.
Where the belay actually won't work.
Okay.
So they check you off, but then you have to look over the edge to the ground and make eye contact with your belayer.
Yeah.
And have a communication moment of like,
right.
I'm on rappel. And then they say like, I'm on belay.
Yeah.
And I looked over the edge and almost vomited on my belayer.
Oh, yeah.
Like I actually had to like step back for a moment, like collect myself. And then I like kind of like closed one eye and squinted and just like yelled it and then like listened
Yeah.
because it was so hard for me to look down. And then even then stepping off of the ledge, I was so afraid I like locked up.
Yeah.
And it's called possuming. Basically,
Yeah.
your butt goes down, but your feet stay up. And it's really awkward.
Yeah.
And I felt really silly, but I was so terrified
Yeah.
of the fall that I couldn't actually let go of the rope enough
Yeah.
to get off the ledge.
Yeah.
And I ended up needing to give myself like a structure to get safely off the edge.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm going to do some things, maybe not the way I'm supposed to, but it's going to get me over. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to hold myself with my other hand, my guide hand,
Yeah.
which you're not supposed to do.
Okay.
And then I'm going to like meticulously, first I put my brake hand out, and then I bend my legs, and then I jump, and then I release my guide hand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I put my brake hand back in.
Yeah.
But I had to step by step, but I had to kind of create that for myself.
Right.
So that I had enough internal safety to manage the ledge.
Okay.
Because it was terrifying.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So standing at that edge, standing at that precipice, looking over, going like, yeah, nope, can't do this, but realizing you got to do it and just doing it any way you can, even if it's quote unquote wrong. Wow.
Right. And there were people who walked away from it.
Yeah.
They said, I can't do it.
Yeah.
They went and sat down, and that was it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There was even someone who we got to the point of rappelling out of the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
The helicopter went up, and then it went back down again.
Yeah.
And they got a guy off.
Yeah.
And then it went back up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there are people who are so terrified of the descent
Oh,
that they can't let go.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. The metaphors are metaphoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious what's happening for you.
The descent is so terrifying, that into the unknown. I mean, you know, in your case, right, you look over the edge, you see the belayer at the bottom, right, and you have that communication, but so oftentimes we don't know what's at the bottom. We're descending into the darkness, right, the metaphorical darkness. We're descending into the unknown. We're leaving what we know. Are we brave enough, first of all, to do that, to be wrong, are we brave enough for the change? But then it's that descent sometimes into the unknown. I don't know what's on the other side of this. I don't know what's down there. I don't know who I'm going to be on the other side of this. And that is terrifying.
It is. I think that's really why so many of us struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't always know the end from the beginning. In fact, we very rarely know the end or even most of the journey.
I had no idea I'd ever end up here.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
Never saw this in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I thought I would have been dead about 15 years ago.
Hey, wow. Hey, good job. You're not dead. I'm
not
proud
dead.
of you. Of course, you've probably experienced the metaphorical death and rebirth, right?
Sure.
Also part of the journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We do need to face up to this idea that our concept of ourselves is going to have to experience a metaphorical death.
Yeah. A disillusionment. Yeah. Dissolvement.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I was looking for.
Right.
Yes. Oh, yes. To dissolve, to turn to goo, to go into the dark places. Okay, so next on the journey, we leave what we know, we go off of the precipice, and we start our journey into the unknown, in the metaphorical death.
Crossing the threshold
Yeah.
into the underworld,
Yes.
where there are so many things that happen.
Exactly. This is the next phase of the journey.
Which this is where the road of trials is.
Yes.
But also in the hero's journey, this is where we meet the goddess.
Yes. Okay.
This is where the boon is received.
Yes.
And we are in the underworld.
Okay. So the hero's journey, we leave what we know, we step off the precipice, we go into the unknown, to the underworld where the trials begin. Okay. Where we have to fight those ogres, where we have to fight those demons, where we meet the goddess. Let's talk more about that. what is the metaphorical meeting of the goddess?
Well, at least, and it's interesting because there is also a heroine's journey, but in both, we have this experience of the integration of the feminine.
Yes.
So in the and we can we'll come back to the heroine's journey, but in the hero's journey here, that is what is happening, is this is a meeting of the divine feminine within the masculine psyche.
Yes.
Which is critical.
Yes.
This is like the experience of the divine marriage in a way. The marrying of the sacred masculine and feminine together within the psyche of the journeyer.
Yes. So the masculine and the feminine are often in archetypal imagery, not necessarily man and woman.
Right.
Right. It's the embodiment of certain types of traits.
Right. Yeah, it's archetypal energy.
Yes, exactly. So the meeting of the divine feminine is the meeting of wisdom, of it seems like wisdom is the thing that like keeps coming through in the divine feminine in all of these.
Right. And there's a generativity that's there.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at this from like a tarot lens,
yes,
the upper world is the masculine, the underworld is the feminine. The masculine version in the upper world is the magician. They are the master alchemist.
Okay.
They are the ones that have the master of elements and tools and equipment. They are the ones that essentially give you access to the door of the underworld. The high priestess sits at the door of the underworld as the sacred container of rebirth. And so here what we see is that the masculine energy of transformation of the alchemical processes is essential to help us have the tools we need, but we cannot actually transform without the experience of the sacred womb of the underworld.
Okay, so there was just a brief little part in the Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces, which I think it's in the apotheosis, probably, maybe, might have been right before that, but it's the like death, and then the right before rebirth, there's this moment of rest, which we've been talking about that, right? About rest, about how important it is that in this journey, in this, trials and tribulation and the death that we experience, that there's that moment in the womb, right? The metaphorical moon, the mystic, the sacred womb, where rest happens before that rebirth, before that re-entering into the world, and how important that is. I loved that.
Right. It is where this generativity comes from.
Yeah.
That is actually one of the hallmarks of the archetypal king in his fullness.
Yeah.
It actually is the sacred marriage of the masculine and feminine.
Yes.
Which the shadow king, he does not have access to this.
Right.
The weakling, it holds the wound, but the tyrant only holds the sword. And you have this back and forth polarity that is only shifted in part by the sacred marriage that then brings in a generativity that balances out the capacity for destruction.
Yes. I think that's such an important part of that divine feminine, is that need for rest, that need that, not even just the need for rest, but that it's the acknowledgement that rest is divine, that it is an important part of the journey, that it is part of the divine feminine. Yeah, like 100%. I saw somebody say on social media or something that we don't fight effectively the horrors of the patriarchy with more patriarchal ideals. We got to fight them with matriarchal ideals, which are rest, regeneration, rebirth, all of those things. So yes.
Right. There's a holding, a containing.
Right.
There's a being rather than necessarily just doing.
Yes. Yes. Being rather than doing. Chef's kiss. Good job. Love it. Okay. So after this rest, the rebirth and the commitment to take what we've learned, the boon, into the world, right?
Which this is another place where the rejection can come in.
Yes.
Because it requires a willingness to come back.
Yes. Which is, that's a fight too. Nope. I'd like to just stay here in the dark and in the rest. And I've done the journey and now I can rest. Thank you. Yeah.
But in order to really create the change that is required, the thing that is received in the underworld has to be brought back into the upper world.
Yes. Yep. So in identity development models, there's the middle phase, which is a total rejection of the system and a separation of that system from the self. And it's often marked by anger, okay, which is really important, right? That anger is important to create that divide further. But oftentimes, and maybe you've seen this, but I have definitely seen this in my work, is people get stuck in that anger, right? Which is, I think, another form of that. I don't want to take what I've learned. I don't want to go back into the world. I don't want to go back to that system. Like sitting here in that anger and that darkness and even in the rest is easier, and I don't want to do it. There's a fight against that often, internal, external, everything.
Right. Which, at least from what I've seen, there's a variety of reasons for that.
Yes.
I'm curious for you, like, what do you see as motivating the sitting in the anger and not wanting to move past it?
Good question. Sometimes it's a matter of not healing, right? Which a lot of times that healing gets labeled as forgiveness, which I do not agree that forgiveness is healing at all. I think it's an understanding and a compassion for yourself and for others that does not necessarily have to lead to forgiveness, right? But simply understanding that that there are universal human experiences that lead us to dysfunction for everybody, right? Like I use the example, if you're having a disagreement with a family member over, let's say, politics, it doesn't even really matter what the particular issue is. If you can get down to the root of why a person cares about that issue, you'll often find it's, fear or a desire for autonomy, for power, for recognition, right? If you can get to that underneath part, you can find that common ground, right? Like, yes, I too am afraid of my rights being taken away. I can understand that about you. We may have a different idea of what rights are important for which people, but underneath that is the same and a similar experience, right? And compassion can come from that place, right? Doesn't have to necessarily lead to forgiveness, right? But I can at least have compassion.
Yeah, definitely. I really love that. Like the need to be able to acknowledge and have compassion for the self.
Yes.
Which then allows us to experience curiosity for the others.
Yes. 100%. Absolutely. So I think sometimes that getting stuck in that anger comes from a place of not understanding, whether it's the self or someone else, but it's getting down to those underlying human experiences.
Right. Yeah, because I often find that anger is one of the experiences that we have that is demonized the most.
Absolutely it is, which I think keeps us from being able to experience it in healthy ways and helpful ways.
Yeah, I agree. Because anger is so important, and the way we're often taught to deal with it is to put it away.
Or to be destructive.
Right.
Yeah.
Which the destructive expression of anger often is what happens when we refuse to listen to what the anger is trying to say. Where anger is actually a critical experience. We need the anger.
Yeah.
Anger gives an energy to advocate and create change.
Yes.
It gives us a way to express that a line has been crossed that is unacceptable.
Yes.
And when we can connect to the energy in a way we're in right relationship to it,
Yes.
we can access the energy of it.
Yes.
And also separate from the expression of anger that is harmful.
Yes, exactly. Anger is an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It is an opportunity to look at ourselves, to look at our boundaries, to look at our expectations of ourselves and others. It's an opportunity to make change. But so often we've seen anger expressed in destructive ways. And so it is demonized. And so we're afraid of it. And so we run from it, right? Yeah. So the experience of any emotion, right? We got to learn how to experience them. We got to ride the waves. We got to go through that tunnel. We got to get through the other side. That's the experience that we try to teach our clients over and over again, right? Ride out those waves, close those circles, whatever else. The next level of being is not that we're riding the waves, but that we are the ocean.
That's really interesting.
Okay. I'm not the person who rides the waves of emotions. I am the whole ocean. All of those emotions and all of those experiences exist within me all at the same time.
Yeah. That's a really powerful way to see our inner landscape.
Yeah.
Is like it really allows us to feel so much compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
And to say, like, this isn't a thing that I need to avoid or say is wrong about me.
Right.
But it's a really important and sacred piece of myself.
Yeah. And additionally, we don't always have to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sometimes that sacred anger is just to be experienced. Sometimes there's nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it often is an opportunity for change, but not always.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's merely just to acknowledge it.
Right. Which any of our emotions need that first and foremost.
Yes.
So we needed to experienced as valid, as understandable.
Yes. As important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is always a necessity.
Yeah.
I also had a bit of a hot take from my own therapist this last week.
Okay.
Where I was feeling a little spicy.
Oh, goody.
And we were talking about anger.
Okay.
And he said sometimes anger is an expression for a need for change in the way that we collude with systems of power.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I need more. Give it to me.
So at least in my own experience.
Yes.
Because of the way that I experienced how to be a human.
Yes.
Which was to make myself small, to never be seen as too much.
Yes.
And to always be like managing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm always inside making sure that I'm not too much. I'm not too loud. I'm not too expressive. That I'm always really measured and moderate. And like, I'm not going to push too many buttons. Right?
Yep.
If I'm going to stir the pot, it's really carefully done because I don't want to cross the line. It's a way of like forcing myself into a box.
Mm-hmm.
As a way to make sure that I'm not too much, because being too much is going to be harmful and hurtful.
Right.
And so to know that I'm not too much allows me to have at least a shred of hope in the world.
Yeah.
That I'll be okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And also,
okay,
I am allowing the systems of power that make me feel the need for that to persist.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because I'm not allowing myself to be fully present.
Right.
I'm containing myself as a preemptive measure to keep somebody else from doing it for me.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So as I was reading through Joseph Campbell this morning, this like journey of the hero's journey, I felt like was a journey to authenticity. Right? Like, yes, there's this like growth and rebirth and death and, you know, all of that. But really what we're trying to get to is being able to be authentically me. ugh.
The apotheosis.
Yeah, yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the ability to embody the divine self.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Which, and I think what we're really describing here, like this is the nature of the road of trials.
Yeah.
Like at least, I mean, the major arcana of the tarot, at least in the Rider-Waite system,
Yeah.
once you hit the Chariot, that actually, the Chariot, well, like the Fool is kind of central, but the Chariot all the way back around through the major arcana is symbolic of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
The devil doesn't come in until after death.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is the shadow. It is the ways that we are chained inside.
Yeah.
That we are then required to face.
Yeah.
As well as the tower, the structures that exist within ourselves that have to be brought down. And it isn't until that trial is complete, until the devil is faced and the tower is destroyed, that we receive the light of the star.
Okay. In the Thoth tarot, which is the tarot that I learned first before I learned the like more traditional Rider-Waite, we see that journey in the Princess of Swords and the Queen of Swords. That the Princess of Swords takes the sword and tears down the old altars. And the Queen of Swords sits on the rubble with her sword at her side and her mask torn off. So she's got in one hand the sword and the other hand the mask, but she sits on the rubble of the old altars.
Right.
Yeah.
And it isn't until that time that we can then receive the light within, the boon.
Yeah.
That we can then bring back in from the light of the underworld, i.e. the moon.
Yes.
Into the light of the sun.
Yes.
Which is the rebirth of the divine child.
Yes. Ooh,
right?
Yeah.
We bring the divine within that has been reborn through the boon of the goddess into the light of day.
Yeah.
Where we can restart the wheel.
Okay, so then that takes us into the third and final phase, right? Where we take what we've learned, where we take the boon being the wisdom we've gained, the understanding of compassion, of authenticity, of whatever else, where we take that back into the above world. Yeah. And that there is also often there a resistance to.
There is, right?
Yeah.
Like this is when Simba returns from like,
hanging out with Timon and Pumbaa.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like he left and then he comes back. He still has to fight Scar.
Yes.
But it isn't until he is reborn.
Yeah.
Through like this fiery confrontation.
Yeah.
That like the restorative rain can fall.
Yeah.
And like rejuvenate the landscape.
Yes. Oh, I always think of the Land Before Time, the movie about the dinosaurs, where they're in the volcano land, right? And that's like right before they get to the end, to the green, beautiful valley with the rainbow and everything, is that like volcano. Everything's trying to kill them, but then they get to this beautiful green, verdant valley. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the again though, let's get back to where we started with this idealized king version, where we're coming back, we're bringing the boon, we're bringing the things that we've learned, we're bringing that ability to have compassion for ourselves and others back to be the idealized king. What does that look like?
I think it looks like a lot of things.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I think there is a definite difference in capacity, particularly a capacity for holding space and compassion for the lived experience of other people in the human experience. There is also in the way that we show up, there is a generativity to it. Right? We're not in power over type relationships anymore.
Yes.
We actually like hierarchical systems don't actually work well for the archetypal energy of the king.
Yeah.
Because there isn't, like, hierarchical relationships are built in a power over.
Right.
The archetypal king stands more in hierarchical, like a circular space.
Yes.
Where there is a power with.
Oh, yes.
Because the king in the divine marriage with the world allows the circle to now be part of his reality.
Yeah.
Rather than just like the sword.
Yeah.
You now have the capacity to hold.
Yeah.
Like the chalice becomes accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. The kind of what came to mind with this like return with the final stage was this integration and immersion and a dialectical ability to be able to hold both sides, to be able to hold all, to be able to experience all, right? Yes, that marriage of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, which this was very interesting that I had never considered, but that Joseph Campbell did point out. You know, he uses a lot of mythological and literary and, you know, all sorts of different examples, but he talked specifically about the Abrahamic God and the creation myth that the verse, and you're going to have to correct me because I know you're studying it this year, but that God created man and woman in his image, right? But Joseph Campbell specifically pointed out that that is the marriage of the divine feminine and masculine. And it occurred to me that we should probably be using gender neutral pronouns for God, right? Because if this omnipotent godlike figure is creating man and woman both in their image, then there's a possibility that there is no gender there for God.
I hear that. And it's interesting that the name that God is translated from here,
right,
is Elohim,
right, which is gods,
which is plural.
Yes, exactly.
Right. El, which is like the end of a lot of Hebrew names,
Yes,
is the masculine singular for God. But Elohim is plural.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Hebrew. I did learn that in my Hebrew courses in college.
Yeah. But there, I love what you're saying here, right? There is this capacity to hold space for like multiple perspectives.
Yes.
And this is such a good indicator of what is actually happening inside. Often if we find that we are unable to do so, welcome back to seeing the parts of ourselves that get to be loved on and integrated.
Yes.
Because it's going to, like, the human experience will push those.
Yeah.
Also, holding space for another is so much more than simply allowing it to be present.
Yeah.
But there is a certain degree of nurturance that happens too.
Yes.
Of, yes, and I want to, like, I can be here with you. I can be curious about it. I can nurture this within another.
Yep.
It is like the archetypal king is actually the antithesis to the patriarchy.
Yes. Yes.
Because the patriarchy is rooted in the shadow.
Yes.
It is the oscillation between the tyrant and the weakling.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So the parallels in modern day identity development models, the final stage in all of these is some version of integrative awareness. Okay. Where we are returning to the system with an awareness of that system, both the negative and the positive, right? Which really I'm almost always going to come back to a compassion and a mindfulness, right? That the system was created for reasons that work for other reasons, and that they don't work for also really important reasons. And that if we can re-enter that with all the things that we've learned, if we can bring that boon back, right, we can start to make changes, hopefully, ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I love that we're coming back to identity development.
Mm-hmm.
It brings me back to the way the hero's journey is depicted in the Rider-Waite Tarot, because it begins with the Fool.
Right.
The Fool is, it is two things simultaneously. It is the departure on the new journey, and it is also the integration. It's the zero.
Yeah.
The wholeness.
Yeah.
The beauty of the Fool is that in his satchel, he holds all of the ingredients to the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that is required for the alchemical transformation of wholeness, he has with him the entire time.
That is, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because I feel like that's the thing that I try to teach clients over and over again. You have the answers already. I'm just going to help you uncover them. You have what you need inside. You were born with what you need. You have the wisdom. You have the understanding. We just got to unearth it.
Right.
Yeah.
And by doing so, by beginning the journey,
yes,
by meeting the wise sage,
yes,
by learning the ingredients,
yes,
like by learning the recipe to craft the ingredients, and by descending through this alchemical journey, we then receive the capacity to bring the elixir into ourselves and to the world around us.
Yes.
Where everyone and everything that we touch now has the capacity to be influenced in a different way.
Yes.
Because we ourselves are different.
Yes. Yeah. There's no such thing as one-way liberation.
Right.
Yeah. As we liberate ourselves from those old systems, those old ways of thinking, we create that space around us that invites others to do the same. And then they do that same, and it creates space around them, and it's that ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so powerful to be able to witness and also experience.
Yeah.
I've gotten to have a couple experiences recently. I would say over the last, we'll call it month.
Okay.
Because I don't really understand how time works. Time's a construct that I don't believe in.
Thanks, ADHD.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there are a couple of people I've gotten to work with who, when we've spoken either on the phone or in person, have said, I'm really anxious about being in a therapeutic space with a man.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
For really valid reasons.
Yeah.
And then I get to have the experience of saying, wow, this is so different than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And to have people say, like, I feel like there's a safety here in this experience.
Yeah.
That was unexpected.
Yeah.
Which it's like that for me, it's such a beautiful experience that when we look at the hero's journey, like that's one of the things we're looking at.
Yeah.
Is like we are creating this capacity for connection and vulnerability, like the safety of vulnerability to happen.
Yeah.
Where connection can be present and healing can begin.
Yeah.
Because if I am working to continually go through this cycle, go through this journey and descend to the underworld and come back again, go through this road of trials and to face the devil, like to face the shadow and continue to tear down the tower. It's like tear down my own structures. Now I get to have this experience where I can just be present in a way where people can relax a little bit.
Yeah. This is so relevant. I'm so glad you brought this up because it is so relevant right now. And it's such it's like a hot button topic for sure. But I think it's so important to acknowledge this, that what we're seeing played out in really big ways on our national stage right now is how patriarchy has failed us over and over again and failed the most vulnerable of our populations over and over again. And like I've been saying it for a while now, men right now are not having a great reputation era. It is really rough. I saw on social media a influencer who I really like, who talks about, I want to say her handle is No Nonsense Spirituality. But she talks about spirituality a lot. And she brought up the possibility that some well-known spiritual leaders have recently been named as predators.
Mm-hmm.
And she made the point that this is why it's really hard for her to take any kind of spiritual advice from men right now, because unless it's very obvious that you have done the work of deconstructing that internalized patriarchy, it's hard to feel as a woman seen and understood in that spiritual realm, which is so true. When we were talking about the hero's journey, and I was like, I got to read Joseph Campbell. Like, I just can't with men right now.
Right.
Like, I recognize that as my own prejudice and everything else. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that in the hero's journey, even with his acknowledgement of the divine feminine and everything else, that women are very much objectified by the hero's journey, that they're very much just an object, a tool for the hero to grow. I mean, he even acknowledges that if the hero's journey is played out by a heroine, it's all about what she's going to marry the king, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad you brought that up, because for me, you are one of those safe men who have done that work of deconstructing that internalized patriarchy, but that is so important for people to see that, for your clients to see that, for friends and family members to see that, for your coworkers to see that, hopefully for our listeners to hear that, is that doing that work of deconstructing that internalized patriarchy is not a putting aside of masculinity. It's not a putting aside of men or of what it means to seek and to develop the divine masculine, but rather doing it in integrative ways that acknowledge the problems and that acknowledge the divine feminine in ways that are important and accurate and not objectifying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you.
Well, it really, and I'm glad that you're like that we acknowledge, like, Joseph Campbell was also a product of the culture and the time he lived in.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And we do see this problem where we look at the hero's journey as an external journey only.
Right.
And if we do, that really leads us to this place where women can be objectified.
Yeah.
Because the feminine that we seek in the hero's journey isn't outside.
Yeah.
It's inside.
Yes.
Which it's the piece of us that has been disowned.
Yes.
And until we can reclaim and integrate the feminine within,
yes,
there's not a way to honor the feminine outside.
Yes. Yes, 100%, which I think is so true. And not just for like men who are doing the work of deconstructing patriarchy, but also for women who are too, right? Pulling in and feeling power from my emotions, pulling and feeling power from rest, pulling and feeling power from all of those quote unquote feminine things that I have been told I needed to get rid of to be successful, to be taken seriously, whatever else.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes me excited to look at the heroine's journey.
I'm so excited for that. Yes.
Stay tuned.
Up next.
And also, I do feel like as much as we talk about the hero's journey as an internal journey,
yes,
like there actually is a way we can see external world
yes,
as a call.
Yeah.
Right? Oh gosh, what is her name? I can't remember it now. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Maybe I'll put it in our show notes.
Okay.
But she looks at the archetypal journey of accessing the hero within.
Okay.
And one of the things that she talks about is that you see this journey of archetypal capacities that begins with the child who then become like the innocent.
Yeah.
Who is orphaned.
Yeah.
And is protected by the warrior as they begin to wander on their journey to the magician so that they can learn to make the elixir of life and then continue on their way.
Cool.
But there is a way where we can look at that externally and we can say, what are the examples of the ways that people are being orphaned or that orphans are failing to be cared for? Like the woundedness within other people. How is that being perpetuated? How are we seeing the need to step into this energy of advocacy and empowerment and protection that the warrior provides?
Yeah.
And then what is the capacity within myself that needs to be accessed and integrated to create and facilitate change outside of me?
Yeah.
To shift the system balance.
Yes.
Because ultimately, like if we're ever in a place where we are abdicating, if we're looking to others to solve the problem for us, while that may be a social contract responsibility, it can also indicate that we are in a disempowered place.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so many things to like hold, to remember, to be looking at, to integrate. How do we pare it down? How do we make it simple?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is like, okay, what would you recommend? Like for a person who is sitting now in the world we live in, where would you recommend that they start their own contemplative efforts?
Oh, goodness gracious. That's a good question and a really hard question, because the here and now today feels very much like we are all being thrown into it, that there's not a like choice in the matter. It feels very much like, you know, it's like it's just happening. We're all on this train and it's headed somewhere and we're just here for the ride. So I don't know that I have an answer for that. Yeah. If it were an easier time to be where we are in the state of the world and the country that we're in, I would tell you to just be open and curious. Right now, though, it feels like we are already in the midst of the underworld on this journey. And that could just be a reflection of me rather than a reflection of everybody out there, which I'm sure it probably is just a reflection of me. Yeah, I would tell you being brave doesn't mean you're not scared, right? And that it's okay to do it and be scared doing it the whole time.
I would say it's not really bravery if you aren't scared.
Yeah, I think that's also true.
At least the way that I've experienced it.
Yeah. I would tell you this too, that anywhere along the journey, you can find micro joys. And that is probably the best, easiest way to survive the journey.
Right.
Is finding those micro joys along the way.
Yeah. I love that as some real compassionate reality.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find is really helpful for me is to make time to connect with the people that I feel like bring me joy.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's easy to feel alone in the hurt, alone in the heart.
Yeah.
And we talk about the hero's journey as like a somewhat solitary experience.
Yes.
And there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
And also, community can create a container where the journey can happen.
Yeah.
In a way that feels possible.
Yeah.
And empowering.
I would say too that, and you've mentioned this, that the hero's journey is really a reflection of the patriarchy, right? And I would venture to say that that's where the patriarchy gets it wrong too, is that lack of community in the hero's journey, that lack of connection to others, right? Like, yes, you may have the wise guru who takes you on your magical journey, but that lack of community, that lack of connection is where it falls short.
Right. So it's not like when we talk about the journey that we're trying to go through and like where we want to end up, that's in a place of connection and wholeness.
Yes.
And when we find ourselves in a place of disconnection and isolation, that's not it.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think that, yes, I agree with you. Like there is a collective experience of being forced onto the road
Yeah.
right now,
Yes.
which can happen. The hero's journey doesn't always happen by choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have events that choose the road for us.
Yep.
Better or worse, it's, it happens.
It does happen.
Sometimes we just get kicked right in the face.
Yes. Yes.
Which is really hard because it feels like it's happening to us. Often what I think we can do, at least something that has helped me in those moments, is to take a step back and to simply acknowledge what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I am being pushed into the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I can then begin to identify points of resistance.
Yeah.
What are my ways that I'm actually resisting the call?
Yeah.
Because when we identify the places of resistance, like the resistance actually begins to fizzle pretty quick, and it changes into the fear or the anger, which anger is often a shield for fear anyways.
Right.
Or it can turn into shame, or it can turn into resentment, or any number of these things that are actually pushing back against the call.
Yeah.
And when we're willing to give space to those things and really be curious and compassionate and say yes, these are here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important and valid that they are,
Right.
then we can understand what's actually happening inside of me
Mm-hmm.
that's creating this internal dissonance that's so devastatingly hard.
Yeah.
And when I can do that, sometimes those places can release. And then what it actually lets me do is now I take ownership of my life experience in a new way.
Yes.
This isn't a thing that is happening to me. This is my road that I am walking.
Yes. So what I heard in all of that was mindfulness.
I knew you were going to say it.
Really, though.
Yeah.
The noticing, right? That here I am, I'm on this journey, and then doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. To notice, where is it? Where is the tension?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Then we can really exercise some curiosity. Get to know it.
Yeah.
Sit with it.
Yeah.
Be ready for a little bit of spice in there.
It's so terrifying. Yes, I know this is so good and important and ideally what we want. And also I'm the first to acknowledge my resistance over and over again. I'm no.
On the flip side,
Okay.
I would also say if we are ever having the experience of feeling like we have arrived,
Oh,
it's another great indicator of resistance. I'm saying, I don't need that.
yeah.
I've arrived.
Yeah.
Healing complete, integration complete. I am the
That's
wise
so
one.
real. That is so real. There was several years ago, I had this I don't need any more therapy. I have done a lot of therapy, and this situation that's happening right now, everybody else needs therapy, but I definitely do not because I have done my therapy. And now a couple of years out, I'm wow, that was real bold of me because no, definitely there's still work that needs to be done.
Right, which we all get to have that experience.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, that can be an important sign of needing rest.
Yes.
This is a time where actually pressing forward is not, it's actually not important. Or maybe the more important thing is to hold what we've got.
Yes.
To sit still. The time for movement is not yet.
Yes.
Wait for the discomfort. But instead, just be in the moment.
Yeah. Yes. Rest is also very important.
It can also be a way I'm resisting the call.
Sure.
By saying, there is no call.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Everyone else, but not me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And figuring out which one it is sometimes difficult. Sometimes we get it wrong, and that's okay.
Right. Which the mindfulness piece can help us with that.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm noticing I don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm curious about that. Why don't I need it?
Yeah.
I don't need it right now because my system is calling for rest.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Versus I don't need it right now because I've already done the work.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't need it right now because I actually don't want to look at it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that happens sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, and I feel like being mindful in those spaces can be incredibly helpful for people.
Yeah.
I would say another thing that people could do is to actually look for stories that speak to them.
Okay. Yes. Say more.
Well, like you were saying, sometimes it's difficult to find or even to trust the non-familiar other.
Mm-hmm.
If we're having a difficult time in that space of like, I feel like I'm in this journey that's so hard and really swampy, and I just don't know if I can trust anyone or who to trust, begin by finding the myth that speaks to you.
Oh, yeah.
Find the story that resonates and begin to sit with it and work with it.
Yeah. That's a practice I like to do with my clients when we're looking for mantras. Sometimes it'll be like, okay, what story is running through your mind a lot? What song is playing on repeat in your head? What scripture do you keep coming back to that keeps running through your mind? Whatever it is, let's pay attention to that. Let's honor that. Let's figure out what it is in that that's speaking to you and use that to build the, mythos for your life right now, the mantra that you're going to carry with you.
Yeah, which can be so helpful.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like one example that I come back to often, and this usually comes up when I'm like, when people are doing dream work with me. So they're like, okay, someone will inevitably ask me about lucid dreaming.
Yes.
It always happens.
Yes.
Which I've like learned how to be able to explain that a little more succinctly than I used to.
Yeah.
But my one experience that I can recall very easily with lucid dreaming was I was dreaming that I was a Hogwarts student.
Oh, okay.
And I was in class with Hermione Granger.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She's awesome.
Yeah. We love a Hermione Granger.
And then I realized I was dreaming.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a dream. So I turned to Hermione and I was like, what are you trying to tell me right now?
Yeah. Wow. Good job.
And she was like, you need to work on integrating the feminine.
Wow.
I was like, oh, thanks. And then I woke up.
That's impressive because every time I realize I'm in a dream, I wake up immediately. It's really annoying.
This is like my one good lucid dream story.
That's a great one.
But like for me in that time and place, like Harry Potter was a story that was really resonant for me.
Yeah.
And it showed up in a dream
Yeah.
or in a series of dreams, and I just kept connecting to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling this. Like I want to go to Ollivander's.
Yeah.
I want to figure out the wand, like my like magic wand. Oh, well, I want to find like how to do like what's the different like wand patterns for these different spells, and I want to play Hogwarts Legacy, and like it's just really alive.
Yes.
And so I leaned into that.
Yeah.
It's like what's Harry Potter trying to teach you right now?
I love it.
I'm not the chosen one.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, thank goodness. Integrate the feminine. That I can do. Okay.
Right.
All right.
But that's the thing that we can do, right? Is we can say, what is the story that's speaking to me?
Yeah.
Is it Star Wars? Is it Star Trek? Is it, Harry Potter? Is it Lord of the Rings? Is it something else? Is this the one where like Loki turns into a magic horse to protect Freya from being married off to the deceitful giant that he brought into Asgard?
Yeah.
Right. Whatever it is.
Yeah. I had a client who was super into Marvel, and I had not seen this movie, so I'm not even sure if I'm going to get this right. But basically it was like, oh, the darkness, and you just need to hug the darkness. And that was their like thing that I was like, yes, that's amazing. Good job. Yeah.
The new Thunderbolts movie.
Maybe. I honestly have no idea.
You should watch that one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Someone who's rejected their shadow.
Yeah.
And then is consumed by it.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it was.
And until they can embrace it.
Yeah.
It's destroying the world.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
At least that part of it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Very spicy.
Yeah. What we can learn from the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that'd be another good one for people, I think.
Yeah.
Some good practices.
Cool.
The other place I would recommend people to go is go out in nature.
Oh, always. Yep.
Take the quest into nature,
Yeah.
into wild nature.
Yes.
Which, if that's all you can get to is the park, cool.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Take your shoes off, step in the dirt and the grass, take a deep breath.
Right. And go to wild nature with an intention to like a question that you're trying to understand, and let yourself be taught by wild nature.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Here for it.
Yeah. So those are some good starting points.
Okay. I love it. Excellent. Love it. This hero's journey that we're all on continuously over and over and over again. Hopefully, ideally, we are learning and growing and becoming the idealized versions of ourselves.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Okay. And next time we'll talk about the heroine's journey.
So excited.
Yay. Me too.
Okay. Well, until next time.
Thank you.
As you reflect on this week's conversation, you might begin to recognize where the language of the hero's journey shows up in your own life. The call to grow rarely arrives as something dramatic or heroic, and more often it appears as discomfort, uncertainty, or the quiet realization that the way we've been living no longer fits who we're becoming. Myth reminds us that the journey towards maturity isn't meant to be walked alone. It unfolds in relationship with mentors, with community, with nature, and with the parts of ourselves we're still learning to understand. If this episode resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might be navigating their own season of change. And if you'd like to stay connected with the work we're doing here, you can follow or subscribe to The Fertile Dark wherever you listen. Thanks again for being part of the conversation with us. And as always, keep delving deep and embracing the journey.